Everyone knows about Curaçao's beaches and incredible snorkeling, but did you know it also has mountains? Christoffel Mountain is the highest peak on the island, tucked away in the north where fewer tourists venture. On paper, it's a short hike, but don't let that fool you. The heat, humidity, and rugged terrain make it anything but easy. Today, I'm taking on the challenge to see if this underrated adventure is worth it. I'm bringing you along for the climb. So here we are, Christoffel Mountain, highest peak in Curaçao, and we're about to start. We are starting as early as you are allowed to start, 6 a.m, and obviously it's still dark, so as soon as the sun rises I'll pick you back up again. So as you can probably tell from my face now, we've been going steadily uphill for the first 20 minutes or so. The sun is about to rise, it's over there, and we've got the peak right here. Let's keep going. This is already a really beautiful trail. Now that it's bright enough, we can actually see all around us and the view back to the sea. It's been pretty much exactly like this, the trail so far. It's like rocks, mud, kind of slippy, like some big rocks you really have to climb over, but it's a lot of fun. On paper, this hike is only 2.7 kilometers and takes apparently between 2 and 3 hours, but you also sign a waiver when you enter to say that you acknowledge that the conditions might make it more difficult than that because of the heat and the humidity, which is why we started so early. So I am anticipating that it might be a bit more difficult than those numbers kind of state by themselves. We're just taking it at our own pace. And as always, just enjoying the view as we go as well. So some of the logistics of this hike. We are inside the Christoffel National Park, which means there's a $15 entry fee per person, and that gets you entrance to the whole park. There's a number of different hiking trails and also some scenic driving routes. The park opens at 6 a.m, which is exactly when we arrived to get in as early as possible, and it does stay open until about 2 p.m, I think. But if you're hiking Christoffel Mountain, the latest you're allowed to start that is 10 a.m, and that's because of the heat. It's a safety precaution. And as you can probably tell, even starting at 6 a.m, it's really hot and humid. These views already make it so worth it. Now it's just the final push to the summit. We are following all trails to make sure we stay on the trail, but there are every so often a couple of these arrows to make sure you're going the right way. So we're not going up that. You can tell we're almost at the top because we are reaching the sunlight. Whew. Almost there. Ta-da! Wow, wow, wow. 360. So of course the next part of any good hike is the snacks at the summit, while we just take in the view. So the last push to the summit is probably the hardest part, and it's the most scrambly part. You're like climbing through all this kind of rock, but 100% worth it. The 360 views from the top are incredible. You can literally see the entire island, and even though it's a cloudy day, we specifically chose a cloudy day to feel a little bit cooler and have less direct sun on us. You still have such an amazing view. It's so good. At the top, there's not a huge amount of space for a lot of people, so if it was busier, you wouldn't really be able to spend much time up there, but there's a few little spots to prop yourself down, have your snack, and there's some breeze up here, which is very nice. And now we're just heading back down. This should probably be just as tricky because it's kind of hard going down the really steep rocks. Oh, can you see my impressive sweat patches? I'm a sweaty gal. on a normal day. So in these kind of conditions, I'm drenched. But so is everybody else, so who cares? Okay, so we are finally on the home stretch. It has flattened out a little bit so I can pick you back up again for a debrief, because the downhill was way too intense for me to pick you up. It was quite difficult, and the scrambling sections were a little bit scary, to be honest. The rock was already quite slippy, so you had to really concentrate so you don't like potentially fall and like badly hurt yourself. As you can see, we have some nice tree coverage, which means you do get quite a bit of shade. And when you hike at this time in the morning, the side of the mountain you come down is all in the shade. So that's another reason to do it nice and early before the sun gets too high. And all of the trees and plants are so lovely. We saw air plants for the first time in the wild, which is really cool. There are many different plants with lots of spikes and thorns and stuff that will probably scratch your legs a little bit. With the heat, you're going to want to wear shorts, but just be prepared that you'll probably have your legs kind of banged up. My legs are in pretty rough condition already, thanks to a family of mosquitoes, I guess, that feasted on me last night. But yeah, with the scramble and the downhill, we got really lucky with the timing. We had just finished the scramble downhill and there was a rain shower, and only quite a light rain shower. So I can only imagine it was even slippier after that. And it was perfectly timed for us because we got to the kind of little cave. So we had some shelter to wait out the rain shower that lasted like less than 5 minutes, probably.
What?
Maybe it'll blend in my sweat patches if we get any weather. As we've made our way down, we have passed a lot more people going up than what started with us at about 6 a.m. So I think somewhere around 8 is potentially the most popular time for people to start. Something else to keep in mind. So all of that to say, a few things to keep in mind and to prepare for. Rainy season, you're not going to be able to control the rain showers, so expect it to be wet and slippy. Come early to avoid the crowds, otherwise there may be a lot of people at the summit trying to get photos at the same time, and expect to get maybe a little bit cut up by the rocks and the plants and covered in muck. But it's all part of the adventure, isn't it? And just like that, we're done. So it's about 9 a.m, which means in total it took us just under 3 hours, including snack breaks, chilling at the top, taking in the view, that kind of thing. It was pretty tough, but I think because we got kind of lucky with the weather, it being cloudy, it wasn't as hot as I feared it might have been. So I think 3 hours is a pretty good time to give yourself for it, unless you're incredibly fit and used to this kind of heat and humidity and can just run up and down. But the downhill definitely isn't to be underestimated. That's kind of difficult. And now we're in the car and we're going to do one of the scenic drives around the national park and take in the mountain from some other angles. It's so easy to get caught up in the gorgeous beaches of Curaçao, but I hope this hike has shown you that there's so much more to this island too. There are multiple national parks worth checking out on the island, so there's a whole other side of Curaçao that's just waiting to be explored. If you enjoyed this hike, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe for more adventures like this. I have my full guides and itinerary for my 2-week trip coming out next, so stay tuned for them. So thank you for coming along on this hike with me. I hope you have a joyful week and I'll catch you in the next adventure.